Hi everybody, and welcome back to video number 3 in our introductory prologue. When we left off, we were looking at environmental, social, and governance responsibility perspectives. Here, environmental, social, and government responsibilities are referred to as ESG, is a concept whereby organizations consider the needs of all the stakeholders when making decisions. And who are those stakeholders? Of course, our customers, our employees, our suppliers, but also our communities, our investors, and people who advocate for environmental and human rights. So, ESG extends beyond legal compliance to include voluntary actions that satisfy our stakeholders' expectations. Here we have some examples of environmental, social, and governance responsibility. And here is our first one. Environmental, we have carbon emissions, product carbon footprints, toxic emissions and waste, water usage, packaging material waste, green new construction, renewable energy usage, responsible material sourcing, end of product life plan, responsible production and recycling and reuse strategies. One example I use is when we purchased a piece of land that was previously owned by a jet engine manufacturer. I suspected that we had hydrocarbons in the soil. So I had that tested, and sure enough, there was. But what I didn't realize that right across the street, there was a refinery, and that refinery had leaked hydrocarbons into the groundwater that was coming from them to us underground. Naturally, I got indemnification agreements from both those companies, so that I was not responsible for that soil remediation. And if you've ever done soil remediation, you know it's a very expensive process. So if we look at social, here we have child labor transparency, employee health and safety, customer data privacy, fair employee compensation, community investments, employee training, cooperative supplier relations, policies against harassment, consumer protection, fair pricing, and policies against discrimination. And then our governance here. We have our board of directors, diversity, executive pay transparency, tax transparency, ethical decision making, enterprise risk transparency, reliable financial reports, clear purpose and priorities, corporate culture alignment, stakeholder needs awareness, responsible supply chain support, and our ESG impact transparency. Many of those examples were drawn from the PricewaterhouseCoopers here website. You can view more examples by visiting the very long HRL there for more information. All right, a process management perspective. A business process is a series of steps that are followed in order to carry out some task in the business. And business functions that make up the value chain include, first, research and development. Once we figure out what we can make that will satisfy our customer, then it goes to a product design. We figure out how to make that product and what it should look like. And then once we know that, we can figure out how to manufacture it. And once we've figured out how to manufacture it, and we want to know what we're going to need to do to market it and distribute it, and then provide customer service after the fact. All of that needs to be carefully thought through before that product is approved. So lean production, another term you're going to hear often in the business world. Customer places an order. It creates a production order. We generate component requirements. The components are ordered. Production begins as the parts arrive, and the goods are delivered when needed. Lean production is often called just in time. That's what I call it, JIT. And I remember quite well when Chrysler put one of its automotive assembly plants on just in time. That's not just a casual term, just in time. In this case, we used to have, for example, tires stored in huge inventory square footage. And then we would take them out of that inventory, put them on the production line, and away we go. With just in time, the trucks arrived that day with the tires for those orders that were coming down the line. And you could see those tires, they never went through inventory, raw material inventory per se. They went directly from the truck, the delivery truck, right out to the assembly line, made it up with the applicable car coming down the assembly line, and it was something to behold. It took tremendous production planning and saved a tremendous amount of space in the plant. When we built new plants, we could build them for far less square footage that way, among other advantages of just in time. Okay, lean production, we have traditional manufacturing. Here we produce goods in anticipation of the sales. We store that inventory, and then we make sales from finished goods inventory. Pretty standard there. But because lean thinking only allows production in response to customer orders, the number of units produced tends to equal the number of units sold. So this lean approach results in fewer defects, less wasted effort, quicker customer response times than traditional production methods would. Leadership. Organizational leaders unite the behavior of employees around two common themes: pursuing our strategic goals and making optimal decisions. The factors that influence that behavior are intrinsic motivation that we all have to do a good job and those kinds of things, but we also have extrinsic, I can get it out, incentives, and a cognitive bias. So those are our factors that influence our behavior. All right, that's a general overview of what managerial accounting will be. And when we continue with Chapter 1, we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the course. Until that time, bye for now.